Speed ramps are such a staple in music videos. I have been shooting and editing music videos for the last 5 years, and I don't think there's a single video that I have not done a speed ramp on. Today, I'm going to show you my exact process on how I speed ramp music videos inside of DaVinci Resolve. Now that we're in DaVinci Resolve, I'm going to go through the different stages of speed ramping and how to progressively get better. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can do a speed ramp, but this is the best way in my opinion. This is what the footage looked like beforehand, before we speed ramped it. So this is like a standard speed ramp right here. Doesn't look bad, but there's definitely more that can be done. And then this is taking that a step further. Looks a whole lot smoother than the last one. Now back to the final one. That's just super smooth. So I'm going to go over all the sauce on how to get it looking like this. If you're shooting the video, you want to shoot in 60 FPS or higher. When you're working on a 24 FPS timeline, you're able to slow down that 60 FPS footage by 40% and it'll still look smooth. And when it comes to speed ramping, I like to use it in music videos to keep up the energy. I like to slow it down and then speed it back up. Or sometimes I like to just slow it down. You can kind of experiment. It really just depends on the vibe that you're going for. But we're going to take these 3 clips and I'm going to walk you through how we're going to speed ramp them. So these were all shot in 60 FPS, so I know the maximum that I can slow them down, at least for right now, is 40%. What I like to do is, I like to take the clip as it is normally and find like a really good point where I want to slow it down. Usually I like to find a spot where the footage is like pretty sharp. Like I wouldn't really do it right here. You also want to make sure that the movement looks good too, where you're going to slow it down. So I would slow it down right as he's like grabbing his hat. I'm going to do this one right here. And you're going to hit Control R on your keyboard. And that's going to bring up this retime thing. Then what you're going to do is click this and select add speed point. So now we added a speed point here. What you're going to want to do now is click it again and change the speed to 50%. Now, if you shot this in 60 FPS, like I said, you're going to be able to slow it down to 40%. So all you have to do is drag that. Just so you understand, there's a few different arrows depending on where you are hovering on this clip. So this one is going to determine the speed. This one is going to determine the length of the clip. And there's one more. It's pretty much the same. So right here, we already have a speed ramp, but it is not smooth at all, in my opinion. So what we're going to do to fix that, we're going to click the keyframes icon right here. Make sure that you're selected on keyframe curves, and you're going to see that we have this graph. Now this graph is the animation graph of the speed ramp. When I was telling you that it was really not smooth at all, you can see in the keyframe graph that it's not. It's a straight drop. Well, the way to fix that is you can click over here and click Control A, or you could just hover over it. Select down this arrow and click ease in and out. If we just play that back right now, it's a lot smoother already. What you can do is you can drag these out and that's going to ease it even more. So it's going to be less of like an intense drop. You can also smooth it even further than that, but it gets to a point where you don't really get that like that speed jump. It kind of starts slowing down a lot smoother because of where the graph is. That makes sense. Another tip that you can do is you can actually zoom in, and if you hold shift and left click, you can actually adjust just one side of the graph. See how that looks? So that looks really good. I'm actually going to make this side a little bit sharper. That's pretty decent. In order to get that like quick speed ramped look, what you're going to do is take this 100% speed footage and speed it up. So we're going to turn it to 200%. And now, as you can see, it's a lot more intense because it starts a lot quicker and it slows down more. So if we play that back, you get this speed ramp that looks pretty good, actually. And what I like to do too is shorten this, so it has less of a start animation. And you can also adjust this line to adjust where the speed ramp happens. And if you feel like you can't adjust it, sometimes the clip just isn't long enough. Like, there we go. You're gonna have to mess around with this a lot until you find something that you like. I think that looks pretty decent. We're gonna move on to the next clip. And I'm gonna do a little bit of a different speed ramp on this one. Instead of it starting fast and ending slow, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start it fast, slow it down, and then I'm gonna speed it up again. We're gonna find a part where I want to slow it down. Right here, because you can see his thumb is in focus. We're gonna add speed point here, and we're gonna change this to 50%. Or 40%, I mean. And we're gonna change this to 200%. Also, if you didn't know, you can also have the keyframe editor underneath your timeline. It's just personal preference on what you like more. But the nice thing about using this is you can also adjust the speed right here and right here. I'm actually going to adjust this over a little bit too. Yeah, that looks better already. And then we're going to add another speed point right here, change it to 200% again. I don't necessarily like how that looks, but you can see it comes in quick and it leaves quick. And again, make sure to ease your graph as well. So that already looks a lot better. And feel free to experiment too. You can even raise this like 400%. I usually tend to stick between 2 and 400% for the speed ramps. Kind of the sweet spot for me for speeding up. But that looks pretty decent actually. And the cool thing is when we end up speed ramping this next clip and it comes in quick, it's going to flow really well with the last one. So if I were to just throw this clip on right here next to it, you're going to see that it ramps into the next clip. That's why I'm teaching you this variation, because it's honestly two different types of ramps. You can have it just end slow, and then you can also have it ramp into the next. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to 400. And as you can see, it ramps into it. If you're having any issues with playback or anything, what you're going to want to do is go to playback and set it to quarter. Or you can generate proxies. You can turn your render cache on too. Now, if I bring this back over here, I'm going to show you some sauce on how you can make this speed ramp even better. So remember when I told you that if you shoot in 60 FPS, you can only slow it down to 40%? Well, traditionally, in order to slow it down more, you would need to shoot in a higher FPS. Like 120 FPS will get you to 20%. So you'd think it'd be impossible to slow it down to that speed when you're not shooting at that FPS till now. I'm going to show you how to slow it down to 20% with regular 60 FPS footage. What you're going to do is go to retime and scaling, set retime process to optical flow, and motion estimation to either AI speed warp better or AI speed warp faster. Be aware this is going to be very taxing on your computer. What you can do now is you can actually change this down to 20%. I will just do 22%. As you can see, it is playing back at 20% and it looks smooth. And the only way that's possible is using optical flow. And what optical flow is doing is it's making like fake frames that aren't there with AI. Like I said, normally you'd have to shoot in 120 FPS to get this, or use a plugin like Twixtor. This is actually built into DaVinci Resolve. You just need the studio version. Play that back. See, it looks really smooth. Now, this isn't going to work on every clip. Let me try it on this one. And let's turn on optical flow. Actually turned out good on here. But there is a limit that you can hit, and it really depends on the type of footage you have and how slow you make it. If I were to set this all the way down to like 10%, that's where you can kind of start to see it breaking on his fingers and on the hat. But this is still really usable depending on the type of project you're doing. So I'm just going to put everything back to how it was, and we're going to just throw these together. And the final clip, I'm going to slow this one down a lot. So again, Control R, then you're going to find the spot where you want to have that slow-mo hit. I want to do it right where the ember hits. I like right here. Add speed point. And then I want it to kind of stop right here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to slow this down to 10%. We're going to turn on Optical Flow once again. And I'm going to do the same method. I'm going to start with like 200%. And we're going to see how this looks. Wow, that looks incredible for 10%. I don't think I see like any warping whatsoever on here. Do the same method as before. One thing that you can do too, hold shift down and drag this out to the end, and then leave these ones kind of in. That's a good way to smooth it out. I'm actually going to turn this to 400% as well. This goes on a little too long for my liking. So as you can see right now, I'm trying to drag this clip over to shorten the 10% section, but it's just dragging the whole clip. Again, just make the clip longer and you'll be able to drag it. Let's see. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm going to try and make it even smoother. I'm going to do that same method on these ones as well. Pretty good. I still think this one could be better. That looks pretty good, but I want to ramp it at the end again. So we're going to change that to 200 and we're going to smoothen it out again. Ease in and out. Do it this way. Let's see how that looks. Clean. Now, I'm going to show you guys some sauce on how to make this even better. A lot of people stop at this point with making speed ramps, and it looks pretty good as is, but you are missing a critical step if you don't do what I'm about to do here. What you want to do is go to playback, make sure it's set to full, turn off your proxies, render all of these in place. I like to have all these checked. Apple ProRes. I leave this unchecked. That way I can adjust the color grade after the fact. It's still going to keep whatever's on it. And then make sure that render at source resolution is checked as well. Go ahead and render. The nice thing about this now is if you play these back, they're going to play smoothly. You don't need render cache. You can have this at the highest quality and they just look good. Now I'm going to show you that sauce. Go into Fusion, hit Shift Space, type in Optical Flow, Shift Space again, and type in Vector Motion Blur. And again, you do need the studio version of DaVinci for this. Now, if we play this back in here, you can see that we have motion blur. And it's going to take a little bit to render out. Once it does, just look at how much smoother that looks with the motion blur. It is so nice. Highlight both of these and hit Control C and click the clips icon right here. And you can go to your next clip, hit Control V and drag this into here by using the shift and left click. And now you have the motion blur on the next clip. Do it one more time. This one looks good too. So now if we go back and play it back, it's definitely going to lag. Render it in place once again. It looks very smooth with the motion blur. It's on a different level compared to just regular speed ramps. So if you want speed ramps like this, just follow these steps. In order to make them smooth, like I said, you need to shoot in at least 60 FPS for one. For 2, you want to make sure your graphs are eased. And 3, you want motion blur. If you do all those and you mess around with it enough, you can get speed ramps that look even better than this. These can apply to any type of video. Like you can use these on car videos, music videos, short form content, real estate content. I mean, the list goes on. If you wanted to, say, use this in a music video, you can add some effects to it. I have my own effects pack that I use for all my music videos. Simple to use, easy effects that are drag and drop. I have the effects page effects with flashes, zooms, blurs, transforms that you just drag onto an adjustment clip. I also have a power bin set that is truly drag and drop. You don't need any sort of adjustment clip or anything. It is pre-made, so all you have to do is literally drag and drop. And with this pack too, you can also make adjustments all on the edit page. This is the final look with my effects on it. So if you're anything like me and you hate making effects from scratch every single time you edit music videos, this pack is for you. Super easy to use, drag and drop, super customizable also. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, you can check the link in my description. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. You should be able to make really clean speed ramps now. That's going to change the game for you. If you've been making speed ramps and you haven't been using those 2 tools, I promise once you figure them out, it is so crazy what you can do. Otherwise, if you guys like this tutorial, be sure to subscribe. I have more DaVinci and music video tutorials on the way.